Hi, my name is Jake Parker. I study travel tourism, media studies, music and IT. Whilst at All Saints Academy Sixth Form, I was able to go on many school trips. We went to Gems TV, we went to the Cheltenham Literature Festival and did articles, and that was really inspiring because I was conflicted about what I wanted to do. At first I wanted to become an actor, and I wanted to try different things in many different industries like music and TV and film, so I had the inspiration to carry on doing that. I had Miss Edgar and Mr. Wright and Mr. Clarkson kind of teach me how to turn my creativity into something more proactive. So I was able to go on many school trips and kind of learn about how the industry works in many different elements, like how does film differ to TV, how does TV differ to music, to art, to photography, to magazines, to journalism. So it's quite nice to see how it all kind of connects but also has its different elements as well. After sixth form, I wanted to develop my education more and went to University of Salford and learned film production. I only stayed there for roughly about a year, and I decided to come back to University of Gloucestershire. But during my time at Salford, I was able to take on the work experience at ITV. So they had this kind of scheme at ITV where you could take on an internship or an internship and work for ITV's Jeremy Kyle, Coronation Street and Emmerdale. Then I came back to University of Gloucestershire, but during that time I was able to take on more experiences. I was able to cast celebrities and videos, etc. I was able to build up my confidence to try and approach different industry styles. So I wanted to work on Doctor Who and children's TV. Even though I was able to do that, I was able to take that skill that I developed and move forward into the industry. And that's what I learned at the University of Gloucestershire. I achieved many skills and I developed them over the 3 years I studied at the University of Gloucestershire. I was able to build up a professional manner so I can talk to industry professionals very clearly. I was able to build up my communication skills. So like I said earlier, I was trying to approach casting, and the way to do that, I had to go into LinkedIn, onto TV shows that I liked, and try and build a credibility for myself and network. So that's one skill I learned. I also learned that timekeeping is very important. I was very slow at the beginning of the university year, so I was slacking, but then I took on more responsibility, which meant I had to keep track of timings and make sure things were done correctly, and kind of building up a reputation for myself, because I didn't want to look like I was a slacker, so I had to start moving and motivating myself more clearly in the year. And when it got to third year, I had the opportunity to take on much more work experience because of those skills. So like Doctor Who, DIY SOS and Celebrity Juice were my biggest achievements of that year. But also I wanted to kind of carry on producing for my short films, so timekeeping was also a very important skill that I learned during that time period. So after university, I took on the opportunity to do a master's degree, but because of the pandemic hitting, I had to make a rush decision to stop doing that and kind of look at where I wanted to be. So I decided to apply for Disney in early September last year, when I was actually in my third year, to see if I could easily pursue that. In January 2021, they got in contact with me and asked me to do 4 interviews to kind of see where my mind was, see if I could kind of do the job they were asking me to do. So in September 2021, I had my 4th interview, and they asked me to kind of move to London to pursue that dream. So I said yes straight away. In November that year, actually, I had an opportunity to take a full-time contract with Disney, and I'm no longer an intern. During that, actually, I was working on multiple films: Eternals, No Time to Die, Doctor Strange 2, The Witcher, The Crown, and that was a great opportunity to open up different departments. So I started as a COVID marshal, and I moved on to become a crowd third AD, which means I look after supporting artists, but they're classed as SAs, and kind of direct them on set. For example, if there's a big action scene in Avengers, and the people that's running crazy around the screen, my job is to make sure they're wearing the right uniform, make sure they're wearing the right makeup. Is that bag correct? Is that coat correct on right? And then kind of direct them in the right manner to direct what the director wants with the second crowd AD. And then the main director will direct everyone else. Yeah, so inside Disney there are 5 companies that you can work for. So Walt Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars and National Geographic. And the opportunity I've been given is that I can work on any of the projects they're producing in London or around the world. For example, in September I was able to work on Eternals. We'll finish off Eternals, which was a Marvel project. Now I've done a Marvel project, I can easily move on to a National Geographic project, a Pixar project, a 20th Century Fox project, which is classed as Star, and anything in underneath the umbrella of Disney, if you would. And then that would open up more opportunities that I can pursue. So also, I can also work on animation as well. Even though I'm not an animation director or artist, I can work on script writing or being a script supervisor and help with the Pixar side or the Blue Sky section, which is like Ice Age or Toy Story. So this opens so many other doors that I can easily pursue if I don't want to. At the moment, like I said, I'm a crowd AD. But I might not want to be a crowd AD. This might open other opportunities that I can easily pursue in the future, or at least give me more skills in that area. My proudest production would be Doctor Who. It's my first ever production. So when I was at University of Gloucestershire, this was my a week's work of experience. Of course, I love Doctor Who. It's one of the most outstanding TV shows I liked when I was a kid. And the reason it was my proudest is because it's my first ever proper job in the industry. It's my first step. So that was my proudest moment. And yes, I might talk about Eternals and James Bond, which are big high-end productions. But Doctor Who will always be my stepping stone. And it'll be the one I talk about most passionately about. Biggest achievement would be James Bond and Eternals. These were, like I said, high-end films. So I was able to understand more about what was happening on set, how to deal with things on set. Like at university, you only learn so much. Like you have to kind of adapt and learn in the environment that you're working in. So they taught me the skills and abilities, but I had to adapt to the environment I was working in. So James Bond and Eternals opened my eyes up to a bigger picture. Doctor Who and Dickinson's Real Deal are very low-end televisions. So they're scripted, smaller crew. With these films, 150 people a day, including essays, which is 300, between 200 and 300, and the cast itself, which are called massive big names that you would probably dream of meeting one day. So I would say they're my biggest achievements so far. I would say the biggest star I've ever met, well actually I would say 2, would be Samuel L. Jackson on a film that I filmed in September for Apple. And I would also say Henry Cavill for The Witcher Season 2. I would say these are probably the biggest names I've met so far. I want to meet more. I'm hoping to meet more. Daniel Craig was a big name, but it wasn't exciting. I didn't really mind him being on camera or who he was, but Samuel L. Jackson, of course, is from the Marvel, and Henry Cavill is DC. So my 2 favorite things kind of pushed together, so that's what I enjoyed. I started off as a COVID marshal for my first ever role. This was during the Eternals, and then I was noticed by the crowd AD. So basically we were working at the Savoy, and she was very stressed and she had to deal with 30 to 50 essays, which is supporting artists. And during that time I was learning, I was in a junior role, but I had the opportunity to kind of shine and show off a bit. So I asked her if I could take on the opportunity to kind of get the actors on the buses to the location they had to get to, because there was 3 different locations, so even more stressful for different actors. And she said, yes, if you can do that for me, that would be fantastic. So I took on the opportunity, I got everybody on the bus, and ever since then I've been in contact with the second AD, and then now I class my role as a 3rd crowd AD. So my job role now is to make sure the supporting artists are looked after, making sure they're fed, watered, had drinks, and make sure that they are at the right place at the right time. The COVID marshal job was okay. I enjoyed it. All my job was to make sure that people had masks on, people were 2 meters apart. But with this one, I feel more passionate about. I feel excited to get up to work at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I really enjoy what I do. And hopefully in the future, I'll be able to be classed as a 2nd crowd AD, which will take a couple of years, but I'm up for the challenge. So a 2nd crowd AD directs the actual actors on sets, and like I said, the 3rd crowd just makes sure that the actors are in the right places, costumes on correctly, and making sure that everything else runs smoothly for the director. The 2nd crowd AD is the one that directs them in the right. So what if actor A has to walk across the scene, but actor B on the opposite side has to walk the dog, then that is what the second crowd AD does, is to make sure that everything is moving in the background at the right time, at a certain word. So if the actor has to say as, that the supporting artist has to hit that beat as the actor says as. And that's what a second crowd is. So my first experience was No Time to Die, James Bond. Until you get to set, you don't really know what's hit you. Like, for example, you rock up and security's there, the check passes, and then you literally see the director run around with the DOP and his producers. You've got the cast in their trailers. You've got the marshals on the floor making sure people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I think the thrill of it for the first time was exciting, but I was absolutely terrified to see what happened next. Literally, there's nothing like it until you've actually stepped on a proper film set and seen how it's made. Because originally I thought, when I first thought about film, I thought it was scene A to scene B, literally, like continuous, like the first part of the script to the end of the film was done in 1 day, 2 days maybe. No, you work on one scene 5 days in a row, and then you don't swap until it's done. And that shook me, because it's like, wow, that's crazy how long you work on one scene for to make sure it's perfect. Like, the actors have to wear the same clothes, they have to make sure everyone's in the same positions, sound's in the right position, camera knows what they're doing. It's crazy. So first time on set was absolutely unbelievable. The advice I would give, and the only advice I would give, it would be to never give up. When I was back in All Saints Academy, when I first started, I was scared to take any opportunity or ask for any questions or any advice. In my last kind of year, or last 2 years, before I went to sixth form, I asked Ms. Edgar for advice of how to approach the industry, and she gave me the opportunity to film so many things. The Gloucester Diocese, the chef competition, junior chef competition, Cheltenham Festival. This opened up many doors for me, and I would always thank her and Mr. Wright and Mr. Clarkson for the opportunities they gave me. I would always say, do your best to network as possible. Chances don't get given to you, you have to fight for them. So don't give up never give up. Just keep going as much as possible. Talk to someone, go onto LinkedIn, go into a film you like, find the department you kind of want to work in and ask them questions. They may never get back to you, which is fine, but at least you tried, and trying is always half the battle. So keep pursuing what you want to do. If you're passionate about something, it will eventually come to you. I was a carer, I was working at the Ivy. I almost gave up last year because I didn't know what to do anymore. One of my best friends was pursuing something he wanted to do, and I was lost. I didn't really know what to do. He couldn't give me anything, he just gave me advice. And that advice helped me pursue my future career. So I had Disney, I have Warner Brothers now, I have other productions. And that small piece of advice and that attitude that the teachers gave me at All Saints Academy helped me pursue what I wanted to do. Yes, my first official credit on a film would be The Eternals. I worked on it from day one to literally last day of set, so striking. Striking is where they shut down the production. You watch everyone literally tear walls down, which is exciting. My second credit will be Argyle, and then my third last credit would be Treason. So look out for Disney+.